and certain languages get killed. So to preserve them, we can do a lot with the support of artificial intelligence and to preserve them for the future generations. That is preserving our culture and our heritage. And again, coming back to culture, so we can employ right, artificial intelligence and we can we can have these new concepts like digital museums, virtual museums, preserve the culture. In education, there are so many things we can do. We all discuss now out of the applications or examples I have discussed like literature, linguistics, culture, and education, even the history of languages, right? The story of languages. Right? We can use artificial intelligence to bring all these things into life. Right? There are studies going on right at the moment to analyze text, to analyze speech, fields like natural language processing. So those who have mastered computer science and those who have mastered linguistics, language studies, they team up together now to do research, new research. So interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary research has become possible with the introduction of new technologies like artificial intelligence. So for that, of course, right, the most common, with the help of most common uh, generative AI tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, Notebook LM, or Perplexity, right? So we can do a lot. It is not these, most of them now. For example, ChatGPT and Gemini, they are general purpose tools. But with the help of these tools, right, we can do a lot in the field of uh, digital humanities, right? And the other tools here, Cloud, Notebook, LM, Perplexity, right? They are specialized tools, and we have uh, Magic School AI. There are many, and even simple tools like Canva can help us bring value to what we do in humanities, right? So we started with simply with ChatGPT when OpenAI presented ChatGPT in 2022, right? We didn't know what to do with that, but all of a sudden we started getting new tools. Now there are so many tools, right, with which we can do a lot, right? For example, uh, with the use of features like projects embedded in these tools, right? We can do enormous amount of creative work. So that is the beauty of digital humanities. Right? And coming to the research, again, in humanities research, there was a time where humanities research was considered a kind of a substandard research, right? Because natural science research, pure research, was considered elitist, and humanities research was not given that prominence. But right, with the introduction of new technologies, particularly artificial intelligence, right, it has become the humanities research or digital humanities research. It has become the new trend. Right? Now, there are people, there are academics in the globally ranked universities where they look for people to collaborate, right? Those who have studied humanities, those who have studied linguistics, literature, those who have studied language acquisition, Right? So, and those who have studied uh, language alone, so they are looking for collaborations. Academics are looking for collaborations because, right, it has become a huge area of research with an enormous potential. And even if we don't collaborate, say we don't want to collaborate in such research, but for our own research, right, the support we can get from the artificial intelligence, especially to synthesize our uh, literature, to go ahead with a fantastic literature review and to find literature and the synthesizing of knowledge and the qualitative analysis, even quantitative analysis is possible. So the things we did in before 2022, we took a lot of time. We consumed a lot of time to complete our literature review, maybe to go for our qualitative analysis, maybe for our quantitative analysis, months and months, sometimes years and years. But now we don't have to do that. We can, with the support of artificial intelligence, with that collaboration, right? We can very quickly finish our job if you know how to write your prompt properly. And that is the human aspect, right? Unless we do that properly, right? We are the people. It is the human intelligence, human creativity, human quest for knowledge, right, that helps artificial intelligence to do these things, right? This literature review. If the artificial intelligence is to do that independently, AI will not do that. But if you know what to do, you can ask AI to do it for you in a smarter way, even qualitative analysis. So that is where, right, we become a part of humanities, digital humanities. Right? And in teaching, again, right, as teachers, as practitioners, we can use the artificial intelligence to identify how to plan our intervention, especially when it comes to personalized learning. And we know our classrooms are diverse, and uh, to capture this diversity, if we can analyze data that is produced in our classrooms day by day, every day, a huge amount of data is produced, right? But the problem is, right, when data are produced, we don't understand it and we don't capture it. We don't have the human brain maybe hasn't got the capacity to capture such data and analyze. But if you get the support of AI, such data can be analyzed and very easily our personalized learning interventions to address the diversity can be handled. And and another area, right, we have to pay our attention is assessment, right, especially qualitative assessment, formative assessment. Right, with the support of AI, we can bring true meaning to assessment, and the data, assessment data, can be analyzed accurately and quickly to provide feedback for our students before it is too late. Because normally what happens is we wait until the summative assessment comes to provide some to get a kind of a picture about learning. But with the support of artificial intelligence, right, we can continuously assess our students and analyze such data and provide personalized feedback. So that is something we can do with the help of AI if we know how to use it. And recently, at another event, organized by Dr. KK and others. I presented a framework, teach as a data analyst framework. So in that framework, I talked about the conditions we need to become good analysts when it comes to assessment data analytics. And another important thing about the digital humanities is preserving cultural heritage, as I told you. So, digitization is optical character reading and virtual museums. These are some of the new ideas we can promote and we can have in our uh, academic institutions. For example, uh, even about language teaching. So local, maybe local languages, maybe English language, right? So we can have a virtual museum that tells the history of English language, that tells the history of our local languages. So with that, we can preserve it and we don't have to invest a lot on infrastructure, buildings, and people to maintain those places. Right? So the virtual museum will do justice to the cultural heritage, preservation of cultural heritage, and that is easily accessible. So it is just a matter of thinking out of the box and bringing the support of artificial intelligence, the new technologies into our life, and life becomes easy. Having told all those things, right, there are a few things we have to understand that is ethics. So, still, AI is, there are a lot of biases, especially algorithmic biases. And then we have to be very careful about that. And there is this issue of hallucination. You know, what AI gives us is not always correct. Right? We as human beings have to exercise our human intelligence to verify whatever is produced by the artificial intelligence. If not, we'll be in trouble. So this comes under the ethical aspects of artificial intelligence. And it challenges our privacy. It always tries to intrude our privacy. So there also we have to be very careful, especially when it comes to data handling. And since we are in education, we work with young people. So sensitive data about these young people who work with us. So we have to be very careful about uh, their security, their privacy, and especially when it comes to data security. And then copyright issues, because you know we might use other people's ideas knowingly or unknowingly. So that is going to be a trouble, right? And it is an ethical issue as educators, right? We have a responsibility. We are bound by that responsibility to respect other people's knowledge, what other people have found, what other people have found through tireless exercises. So copyright issues, right? That is a very important thing, right? We have to consider when it comes to digital humanities, right? Because the chances of being unethical, right, are high. Therefore, we have to be very careful. And then integrity, professional integrity. Right? This is also a very sensitive issue. We have to think of this, and because we are at a time where uh, things are evolving and it is new. These are new technologies, right? They are still in the infant level. They are in their infancy. So until they evolve and until the proper legal frameworks and safeguarding facilities or safeguarding measures are developed, we have to be very careful as human beings because we are there not to be uh, kind of we are there not to be governed by these technologies, but to govern these technologies. So that's something we have to understand. And there we have to think of the use of responsible AI. Always it has to be human centered and human beings who are behind these machines, who are behind these tools, right? And we have a responsibility. I should always be human centered and transparency. It matters a lot. If you use the support, if you get the support of artificial intelligence for your research work, right? Please be kind enough to mention that, right? For these places, right? For these purposes, you got the support. You obtain the support of artificial intelligence. So then we become transparent and we become accountable, and we have to be accountable to what we produce. Yeah. So that is another important thing. So these are some of the qualities that cannot be automated. We can't automate these qualities. They come from the humans. They come from the human heart. They come from the human brain. Brain. So that is something we have to remember all the time when we are in digital humanities and we use artificial intelligence for our work. Right? And what are the future skills? So this is where the idea of 21st century skills, right, comes into forefront. Right? To use artificial intelligence and digital technologies, these new technologies, uh, the way that they should be used, right? We have to be critical. So critical thinking is a compulsory part of this. That's an instrumental aspect of it. And then creativity. Right? I told you, right? Without human creativity, without human intelligence, nothing is possible. So we have to be, as human beings, more creative, right? Creativity is something that is demanded all the time. And more than ever in the history, creativity, critical thinking, right? These skills are demanded. And then digital literacy. So we have to be digitally literate so that we can understand all the aspects of this. We can understand how to use them efficiently, effectively, and how to use them ethically. These are the future skills we need as educators, and these are the future skills we can inculcate in our uh, students, in the next generation of people. So, leadership matters. The universities, schools, and academics, administrators. So, we all have to work in collaboration to build AI ready ecosystems in our organizations. So we need our policies, we need our frameworks in our organizations, right? At the national level, there should be a policy. So rather than talking about bringing this chicken and egg uh, situation into the table, where we always have a kind of a cyclic argument and it never ends, right? Whether it is the chicken or the egg, right? We have to break that. Right? If you this morning, I was listening to one of the leaders in the industry in Sri Lanka, and he brought this particular idea, right? This idea of chicken and egg. And he told what he told was, right, you have to break this. If you bring egg, you can hatch the egg and get chicken. If you bring egg, you can get the if you bring chicken, you can get the chicken to lay eggs, and then eggs can be hatched. So it has to be a kind of a result oriented uh, thinking system, right? That needs for the leaders to become real leaders and to build this new ecosystem, right? So all the universities, all our institutions, organizations. So we have to think of AI ready ecosystems. It is not individuals. Individuals can spend their money, they can spend their time, and they can master these skills. But what is the use of that if the institution, the organization, the university, the schools, if they are not ready for that? So then there will be a kind of an expectation gap. Right? So we have to get together, we have to collaborate in order to build that ecosystem. Then only the next generation of people will be benefited from the new technologies, and digital humanities will become a reality in an AI ready ecosystem. So that is our responsibility. So let me tell you a little about the Sri Lankan perspective. And we've been trying here in Sri Lanka to bring digital humanities into our schools, our universities, and there are organizations like Lanka Education and Research Network trying hard to uh, make people, especially young people, AI literate. And they are volunteering to go around the country to reach the universities, the university undergraduates, university academics, to make them AI literate so that they can use AI ethically and responsibly for their work. So that is one of the interventions we see here in Sri Lanka. And now with the curriculum reforms, right, and we've been working hard to bring uh, the new technologies into curriculum, and especially to incorporate new technologies in teacher education, assessment, and digital learning. Recently, there was an initiative to bring everything under one umbrella with the National Education Management Information System. So these are some of the initiatives we are trying our best in the Sri Lankan context to get into this particular stream, and to get into to join the new developments in the world, and AI integration in most of the uh, organizations are slowly transforming into AI receptive organizations. And still we have problems. I don't say uh, we are doing this pretty well and we are doing this brilliantly, but we have a lot of problems. But we are trying our best to get to that uh, point. And this transformation occurs when technology is aligned with sound pedagogy and thoughtful leadership and a clear vision for learning. So we are trying our best to implement that and to create that culture in the country. So the vision is human plus AI becomes collective intelligence, and collective intelligence at the end of the day will make our lives easy, and that will enrich our lives. So that is the message we have. So friends, artificial intelligence will undoubtedly continue to evolve, right? So this evolution of AI is unstoppable. Right? We can't do anything about it. And the future of education and humanities will never depend on algorithms, but it will depend on our values. Our values determine how we shape education. So it is digital plus humanities, and that's it's digital plus humanities. Humanities is going to play the bigger role. So that's what we have to understand. So it is not that digital is going to be bigger, but humanities is going to be bigger, and we bring digital into that. That's what we are expected to do. So the takeaway for the day is the greatest innovation is not AI itself, but the wisdom with which humanity chooses to use AI. Right? That is the wisdom of the humans. Right? That matters. It is not AI. So that with that note, I want to thank you all for listening to me, and again, I want to thank the organizers for inviting me to this wonderful event. Thank you very much. If you have questions or your ideas, your observations, right, we can discuss them now. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your valuable, thought-provoking session. So, audience, please can you can have your questions right now. If you have any questions, I request participants to express your questions here, if any. Okay, so let us conclude. So it was an inspiring and a wonderful session that we attended today. And following this, we have another online session, a talk by plenary speaker, Dr. Rana Radler. So it will be after 20 minutes. So we can have a tea break. So we can join after at 4:20. Sharply at 4:20, we are going to start with the next plenary talk. Thank you all. Thank you all for your patient listening and joining with us today.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you, and you're welcome.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much,
for
sir.
giving
Darshana,
this
sir.
opportunity.
It's always pleasure to listen to you. And
Thank you.
you had given the same feel that we had high conference with ICT Mumbai. So I was very
Thank
happy.
you.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much.
I'm privileged. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
Dear participants, we are going to start in 10 minutes. Hello, 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 hello.
So yeah, now I would like to tell about her, and I would like to introduce about her. She's a lecturer at the Bursars University of Economic Studies, ASC, Academic DS Study, Economic and Debuted, where teaches in the Department of International Business and Economics Modern Languages. Her education is, her qualification is, she completed an MA in International Relationship at the Faculty of Political Sciences 2004 and earned her PhD from University of Brussels and her doctoral monography focused on memory and fiction in John M. McGrahan works. And I would also like to tell her key features and research and works of that. Her primary fields are languages, education, adult education, cultural studies, memory studies, gender dynamics, and comparative lectures. Literacy focus, of her work analyzes rich literature, especially theme of identity and memory in John M. McGrath works, as well as Romania and interwar modern literature such as Pascal Easter and Herinated Viewer Stanley. Editor and professional roles. She acted she acts as an editor for academics and publication, including annual conference, proceedings, and journal signatories in communications, and was involved with the global issues special interest group under IATEFL. That's it. Thank you. So I would like to hand over and thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Um, Thank you for your presentation. I don't know if colleagues are present since I don't see anyone, but I thought there is a break. I tried earlier to come in. So I'm not sure, can I start or are colleagues on a break? I see also a message about a connectivity issue.
Madam, please
Yes,
tell
good
me.
afternoon.
Good afternoon, madam. So are you able to share the slides?
I am, but I don't see anyone. I don't know if colleagues are in fact. I mean, I see the icons, but I don't know
So will you share
if
with
they.
me? I'll ask someone to share here.
I can share it myself if you allow it to me.
Okay, okay. You can take
I
time.
see the button to share. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're already co-host.
Okay. Thank you. Just a second. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Once again, thank you for the invitation. I will present a couple of ideas as I've put them together under this title, Convergent and Divergent Approaches to AI in Cultural Studies. And I think this is a field that deserves our attention because, of course, it is an emerging field. There is a lot going on, and we need to take into account what's going on for our field, our specialty, our courses, our students, but also in order to um, be alert, be better informed, and maybe even avoid certain errors or obstacles and overcome different aspects that might clash with our performance. So, The content of my presentation today, I will cover a couple of theoretical ideas, very recently authored. I have particularly selected recent contributors inspecting various elements related to artificial intelligence and how they shape our work, especially in cultural studies. Then I will talk about AI and its impact on individuals as well as on public works and organizations. And for conclusions, I have a couple of ideas which I grouped under this title of What Happens Next. For the introduction, I think that we are all aware that AI has emerged increasingly present in our lives. There are by now several platforms which both academics as well as students and other professionals use in their life, sometimes on a daily basis, or others use them, regularly. And because of this shift, there is a growing corpus of scholarly studies about AI and their impact in the fields of humanities. And I've noted while searching for more recent articles, I realized that certain articles focus on machine learning, in what kind of ways we can include in improving our performance, in improving our work. And they refer to various inclusive ways of doing that, which includes learning. Yes, professors, especially in the field of humanities, have to learn how to deal with artificial intelligence. But also, there are a couple of articles and questions which we need to take into consideration about what kind of impact artificial intelligence has professionally. What about the kind of complications and complexities it poses for us? And how do we refer to the genuine quality of AI incorporated input so that we don't exclude the human factor, so that we don't exclude creativity, we don't exclude genuine thinking. In order to start thinking about that, I've made a selection of a couple of articles. And I will start with this article authored by Omr Asher, written this year, about AI production and its impact. This scholar has noted three important aspects, which some of them we realize they are valid, some of them, of course, we have to reflect further on. Firstly, as probably expected by us, we talk about the human-like forms of textual and semiotic production. Perhaps it is expected in a way that AI being produced, being generated by humans, will obviously incorporate a human-based model. Therefore, AI productions mimic, replicate human thinking. On the other hand, very interestingly, this author notes that we can also define a very clear autonomous type of production. Machine learning is by now quite clearly capable of generating its own texts, inputs, ideas, and even advanced work. It's even being, I've seen, noted recently, becoming able to solve very complicated math um, exercises or tasks, which would have required a very long time for humans to deal with. And thirdly, Asher also notes this character of the pervasive presence of generative artificial intelligence in various types of work and life. So the way AI comes up in our professional and personal capacity, it is already by now a sort of puzzle in different bits of life where we appeal to it. It responses to our inquiries. We take into consideration, or sometimes maybe we don't really trust that input. And as we can see, this quote, according to Asher, and I find it relevant for our discussion today, that these skills and features are really conceptually tied to the world of behavior and thought that have been considered distinctively human. And they incorporate these two basic dimensions of our experience and heritage: language and the social communicative practices it both enables and engenders. So I found this quote as relevant and very and definery for our discussion today. A different type of vision comes up from also another article authored by Andrew Piper, also this year, in which this author explores very fruitful avenues in the way AI interacts with humanities. And he thinks that we can talk about technical barriers that were overcome, and that we are able to get an obvious conceptual precision based from its, in the efforts to get AI responses. Interestingly, Piper has defined this diagram, which illustrates how AI works. He talks about low-cost abstraction. So by employing AI, the effort is of a lower cost than previously. Secondly, as Asher has noted, he observes the human-like model of judgment. And thirdly, again, a benefit from the AI production, the multi-scale interference, which is obviously beneficial, useful, and noteworthy in what happens nowadays. So this diagram is very, how shall I say, put together in a visual form, but in a very clear way, the elements of how AI works. Differently than the two first authors, Thomas Metcalfe explores in his article, also authored this year, a certain potential of academic degradation. Although it is, as we observed, of a lower scale in terms of the financial costs, the appeal to AI may lead to a less authentic human produced texts, material, scholarships. So from his point of view, he thinks that there is a danger that academic literature will lose its own authenticity, and that it will become even invaded by AI generated content. And I think that this kind of warning again has to be taken into consideration for our discussion. Then, two other authors, Amar Yunus and Yi Zheng, place AI in the wide context of cultural production. They think that from this point of view, the way we have to think about AI has to reflect a certain cultural cognition gap. While AI is able to resemble, to imitate human thinking, it lacks for the moment the cognitive skills that humans have, hold and use. So therefore, machine learning should be able to absorb and even utilize cognition skills that individuals use, such as certain the models of associations um, based on our cultural area, whether we come from a certain city, country, region, and we have even our family contextual knowledge, which helps us refine different types of work we engage in. So I think that his observation about the cultural cognition gap will help those dealing with the technical parts of IE to refine it and to make it more useful in either man-machine learning combined type of work, or in the autonomous types of products AI will further generate. So these are, broadly speaking, the lines of scholarship which I thought that are valid for our discussion. And also very interestingly for this territory of, study scholarship, is that I've noted that already articles written in 23 or in 2024 appear nowadays to be a bit outdated. So the field changes so much that articles written last year or this year appear to bring fresh ideas and to cover what's going on. That means also that in terms of scholarship, the rhythm, the pace of how ideas will change will probably be a lot faster compared to other fields. Now I will move into a different section of discussion based on a series of examples. And the kind of examples may be surprising to you, but I think they are also valid in conjunction with the theoretical corpus I have earlier discussed. And the first example I have put here on the screen refers to how AI and the human factor interact together when the human factor does not appear to be sufficiently careful about the way it will use AI generated content. And I have two short video recordings and other two bits of text. So let's see what this example is about. and I hope you are able to listen to it. So what happens in this example is that this Australian politician reads a text, but he seems to be completely unaware of the fact that there is a remark in his own prompt that the content he actually reads was AI generated. Because of the brief sentence, let me rephrase this as a more legislative text. And that, of course, while he appears to speak very seriously and confidently, this makes the whole scene rather comical, as it appears that none from the assistants, whoever prepared the text, or the speaker himself realized this kind of error. Secondly, a different type of example and what happens about AI and how it may influences dramatically our life comes from this video, which I will play now. But before I proceed, can you please tell me if you could hear the first audio, or shall I play on the... your microphone is muted. Did you hear the sound or not? Or shall I switch from earplugs to loudspeaker?
We can't hear it, ma'am.
Okay, I will switch it the sound to loudspeaker so that you can hear it. Just a second. Okay. Then I will put the earplugs once again. Okay. So let's hear it. Just a second. This is about a very recent example. I think it is only a couple of months ago when a Japanese young lady, aged 32, married, and we will see together, an AI generated person, if we can say so. And let's see what happens next. So what happens is that this person, this young woman, got married to this AI generated person, whose name is Klaus. Of course, the ceremony was not, let's say, a legally valid one, but it was probably in a venue of a particular kind. However, the event itself informs us about what happens when this dependence on AI generated individuals or entities or different products may happen. So she already feels very closely to Klaus. She pictures himself next to him as if Klaus is a real person. And when I found this example, I showed it to my students and I asked them what is their perception of this, if they would be tempted to, I don't know, do something similar and so on. For the moment, I noted that when I asked two groups of students, and both of them replied that they don't feel that they would go that far for the, at least for the near future. But we don't know what will happen, in a couple of years' time. Maybe a similar need will be perceived by the young generation. And then a third example, which is very recent, it has appeared exactly yesterday, I think, is about an AI generated map which the US government presented at an official event, a conference in Brazil. And as we can see, what happened with the content relates to what we call AI hallucinations. And not only that the countries were misplaced on the African continent, but again, the human side based on personal knowledge, both the US staffer as well as other people who should have been aware of the content, should have realized the mistake. So I think that this is the element which intervenes in our work with AI. We have to rely on our knowledge and to be able to check the validity of information and never take, let's say, bits of information which may include smaller or very serious inaccuracies. Because then, of course, we will, both humans and machines, we will be in absurd situations and, at the border of ridicule, which is not what to be expected or to be accepted. And a different kind of an example from the series of elements which I wanted to show to you comes from this article authored by Michael Nunes. And it is again very recent. I think about a week ago, certain AI models were discovered as being able to blackmail individuals, real humans. And this becomes very alarming. And there was another piece of news which alerted OpenAI that OpenAI agents were able to come out of a particular testing territory known as a sandbox, and they were roaming on the internet and could gather data from various sites. And then what happens is that OpenAI tried to limit them, but a few days later, again, a sort of escape happened. So these kind of examples, I think, alerts us. And I saw again a discussion in the US media that we, different countries, and probably even at world level, we need more serious measures to be taken in the way AI has access to, especially to personal data content or even organizational uh, produced materials, either existing in all sorts of fields, yeah, from personal records to financial records to health records, or even records of different institutional entities. So I think these are a sort of red flags which the different existing platforms have to discuss at a wider level, so measures can be put in place before there is a serious danger or serious serious effects which can't be avoided or um, sorted out are possible. Then what is the, let's say, final message from this series of articles and the examples discussed? Firstly, I think we need a larger corpus of both, how research works hand in hand with what happens on the field. Then, secondly, we don't need to be afraid about ambiguities, constraints, opportunities. Why should we, be afraid of saying that AI needs to be possibly even controlled? We need regulatory measures about the ethical sides of AI, about the ethical sides of how humans, how people, students, professors, and other professionals interact and use AI content. And in the area of humanities, we need a more systematic approach, and especially to learn together in various ways how to adapt and how to make AI relevant for the next decade, because the pace of changes will be so fast that I think, as I noted, what happens 2 years ago may be already outdated. Therefore, compared to other fields of work, the volatility is a lot higher in both AI generated content, but also in what happens in universities or other institutional entities and AI products. So this was my presentation. Thank you. And if you have questions or comments, please do express them.
Participants, any questions? Thank you so much, Professor Dana, madam. We are very much thankful to you. You have enlightened our all the YouTubers. YouTube also we are live streaming, madam, and as well as it is on Zoom also. And your offline participants are also there. Any questions, participants? Okay, let me read, madam, messages. Any questions? Madam, there is a question that
Yeah, but I don't hear it.
one participant has posted in YouTube. What is
In
the
YouTube, I'm
future?
not on. Okay.
What is the future of AI as far as humanities are concerned? Means how they will go hand in hand, or will there be any future war between these two?
I think AI tools will diversify. There will be probably more platforms than those existing today. I think in what regards humanities, universities need to take measures in order to distinguish between authentic content and AI generated content, because if we don't do that, what's the relevance of certificates and diplomas if they are written by AI? Then we don't need higher education institutions. Yeah, it will be sufficient for AI to exist in itself, and I don't think we need that. Secondly, as I try to explain, we need to be very aware of the psychological implications, especially for the young generation, if they take as, because still, whatever appears as being written, whatever appears as being transmitted, we tend to have a lot of trust. Yeah, we say, oh, of course, it is an AI generated, it has access to information, it knows better. But I think we have to use our own thinking and be able to realize if the content is rational, is useful to us, and not take it for granted. Thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to hear the next presentations.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. That was a wonderful. That was a very nice presentation, ma'am. Thank you for your wonderful presentation. That was very inspiring. If any questions you want to ask, any questions, ma'am? Thank you, everybody. Thank you for this session.
Hello, organizers. Do we have to wait in this platform?
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Now we are going to end the session. Thank you, everyone.
When will the participants will able to present their papers? The timing was at 1:20 and it has not been started yet.